All right, guys, welcome on. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I had some stuff to sort out, but let's quickly go through this now. So, as you know, all right, if you look at this right here, we have the CPI news tomorrow, right? So tomorrow the CPI news is at 1:30. Yep, it's at 1:30 UK time. Okay, depending on where you are in the world, I always say if you want to know what the time is for you for news, just click on set automatically when you get onto FX Street, and it's going to tell you exactly what time what is. Okay, so tomorrow it's a big day. Now you can see that the market hasn't really been doing that much this week because there's an anticipation for Thursday's news. Now the anticipation is also, market algorithms having the opportunity to do certain movements when there's high volatility and high expectancy from everyone. So, this week we have quite a few high impact pieces of news over Thursday and Friday. The Friday is not really that much. We've got three, but Thursday is really the main one now. High impact news, I still grade them in different levels of seriousness. Like, for example, the CPI news is, if it was from scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least serious of high impact news and 5 being the highest or most serious high impact news, CPI is definitely a 4, 5. Reason being is because the overarching macroeconomic situation for the world is inflation. So CPI is one of the most directly related factors to inflation in terms of financial figures and fundamental analysis. Now, I don't spend that much time on fundamental analysis. I prefer to do intra-market analysis, which is like look at the US 30, excuse me. I was just looking at that. So I'm saying that the dollar index, the US dollar index, or maybe treasury notes as well, because they have inverse correlation with the dollar index and stuff, and with forex pairs and things like that, so that it can help you to see what's going on. That's another way to look at it, because at the end of the day, where the money is moving to in the market is really what's happening. By the time the news comes out, you could have known the direction already if you just looked at different markets to see what's going on there. But anyway, with the CPI news, because it's quite a high impact piece of news here, or important piece of news, everyone's going to be having a look at it. So let me show you what I've got going on here. So if I switch over the screen now, let me do this for you. So if you look over here, here it is, guys. So if you didn't see what I just did on my screen, because I believe I wasn't sharing that screen, but I'll do it again for you. On this screen over here, on fxstreet.com, what you want to do is just press set automatically for whatever time zone you're in, and it'll tell you exactly when the news is going to come out. So again, this week, there has been high impact news, but relatively low on the scale. The highest scale of high impact news to me is any of the US news, like FOMC interest rate decision, rate statement, things like that. That's definitely a 5. At the moment, CPI is definitely 4, 5 as well, because of what I've just said about the macroeconomic conditions that we're in right now. The overarching influence of the markets at the moment is inflation right now. So, bearing that in mind, to me, that is probably the most important aspect of what we're looking at right now, inflation. So for me, that's my focus really. That's what I'm really looking at. That's what I'm making sure that I do, or what I watch. And this is really, how can I put it? This is what we have to do every single week when it comes to the news, to kind of frame what we're doing in terms of timing of price movements and etc. Now, for me, the CPI news, but as I said, because there'll be high volatility, it gives the price an excuse to in essence, move and do certain price action movements that we've been expecting. So today I decided the only pair I've actually seen that was a trade that I've given to my academy students is US 30. And I guess that's why I mentioned it, because I was just typing it out. But apart from that, I don't really see anything else, Forex or commodities market. Now, I'll have a quick look to see what's going on. But again, there isn't any news, and anything else that's going to come out right here, they're all low impact. So not really anything to really look at. So I'm going to come back. Let's have a look at what we're looking for. So with the dollar index, let's start there really quickly. Now, again, guys, as you can see, I want to just show you what I mean about market algorithm and how it works. So you can see that we had equal highs over here, and seemingly, all right, seemingly a coincidence, which is not. The price formed a demand order block here. We had this long, and look at where the price stopped at. So we had a wick come above these highs here. So what do you think was above these highs? Definitely buy stops, right? As I've taught you. So as you can see, the price has reversed, not so rapidly, but still reversed back into the same order block, which is at equilibrium right now. The price has spiked times in this to demand zone right now, to the second demand zone. And now the question is, where the price is going to go for next, right? So for me, ideally, it looks as though the dollar index, probably the CPI news might push the price along, because right now this smaller H1 order block is right on the equilibrium point, and we've had this reaction here. To look at in a bit more detail, the price has kind of just dropped down here and then pick back up again. So whenever I see this kind of price structure here, I know that this is most likely a launching pad for another movement. And again, as I said, I'm not really going to make any moves with the dollar or any dollar pairs until we see the price. Now I can take this off now because this has been invalidated. But until the price takes the high of the previous week, to me, guys, I would say that we shouldn't really trade anything. Okay. And if we correlate this to kind of our other pairs, apart from like USD JPY, which has done pretty well, but if you look at AUD/USD, for example, I did want to take it for a long, but until it did what I was looking for, if it didn't do what I was looking for, which it didn't, I'm not taking it. But you can see the prices started off here. The week starting the 8th, prices dropped short, push back down, excuse me, and come back for a long immediately. Let me just drink some water. All right. So in essence, what we've got here is the price is kind of in a range. Is pretty much of a wide range, because there was a large range because it's like 77 pips. And it doesn't look like the typical range of like a tight movement in between, but it's still kind of bouncing up and down. We don't have a direction yet on the price. On the H4, all right, the body of the candle has closed beneath the previous week, which normal terms, right, indicates that the price should be going for a short. But ideally, I don't know what we're doing. So seeing that, seeing that right now, my idea is that I want to make sure that I see the price pushing forward for, some further short movements here. On end of the USD, same kind of situation. We don't really have much of a direction. We've got body close here, and then after that, pretty much nothing. So my idea is I'm hoping that, let's see what we get with CAD CHF and the rest. Let me just put this here. And USD CAD and all of the rest of them. But until then, there's nothing really we can actually do. I wouldn't want to trade anything here. I don't want to spend the time to try to go through a pair when the dollar index is doing what it's doing. I prefer to just wait. Now for me, if you were to ask me what I think, personally, I think that the dollar index tomorrow, the CPI news is probably going to give us a long. And then that long will probably initiate us into a short, maybe. That's the idea that I have. So until we see the news, or the news reaction, I don't really want to do anything. But I'll say this. Tomorrow, we may actually have the signs of what direction the price is going to do pretty clearly before the news comes out. If the news does the reaction or kind of triggers some sort of reversal whilst the news is going on, I'm not going to take that reversal. I'll probably wait to see how the market pans out for the next 30 minutes. Okay, now I know that USD JPY needs to do a long anyway. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me, again, looking at something like USD JPY, that the price just continues that way. because of all the body closures as well, for like all the Australian dollar pairs, Euro USD is kind of held up pretty well out of the rest, but still the reaction is pretty weak. If you guys remember with Euro USD, I'll just give an example here quickly. This is the demand order block here, right? So in this case, again, just like most of the other pairs, when the NFP news came out, the market actually broke structure with the news coming out. Okay, so the price was always going to have to do a return, and you can see it did that, right? So it did that. The price took these equal lows over here, like I was discussing with you, and then it's gone for a long. But I'm just not convinced by this long, and I'll tell you why. If this is supposed to be a principal order block, or as I call it, or the order block that initiated this level of activity, when the price returns here again, there should be an equal amount of strength that comes out of this market. But if you look at it here, the price entered into the supply zone and immediately entered into the supply zone, is already getting weak. But more importantly, if we look at the kind of aftermath of this short movement here, the candles are pretty small, and there's not really that much strength when you look at the price action here, especially in this Asian part here. Now, of course, in Asia, you wouldn't expect there to be bullishness or any kind of strong liquidity on a non-Asian pair, but you can see the price kind of went up like almost like before you drop down on a roller coaster, slowly winding up before the big drop. So I'm not really convinced by this movement here. I think it's too easy for the price to push the price down if it's really supposed to go for a short. Now I know there's a big liquidity void here that needs to be filled, and I'm with that, but maybe the price may actually decide to take the weekly low again or push down lower. Now, the initial move that I gave you guys, which was a really lovely trade, and I hope you guys caught onto it, was this one here. If you can remember, we had unfulfilled efficiency of this low, right? And then in the next week, let me just straighten this out. The price came into this area, but because we didn't get the market structure break or anything that we wanted, I wasn't ready to take it. Then the price wicked down here twice, right? And then that was the move that kind of triggered this beast of a movement that we had, right? We had the reversal signature that took the price, most of the way back down. Now, I guess from here, these lows are not exactly equal because I looked at them, but they're very close to equal. Yeah. And when I put the premium and discount range on, there is room for the price to go long as well. This is the thing with Euro USD, but I'm wondering if price might drop a little bit lower and maybe come to this demand zone, because there's a slight inefficiency here, and I'll show you what I mean. If I draw this out, when the price was taken up rapidly like it did, we didn't really get any market structure break on the H4 until the price was actually moving away. So the best market structure break would have been here, which is the high of the week, right? Once the price got here, it was already on its way up. It didn't come back down, just kept on going. But when it was going, and I probably have to zoom in for you to see this detail here, right over here, this candle didn't provide us efficiency here. It was supposed to return to this demand zone, and it didn't. So it's getting me thinking that we may still go long, but the CPI news might take the price down a bit further, or give the dollar a bit more strength until maybe it takes the weekly high and we get down to this 86 region, and then it goes for a long. That would make sense also. Of course, there are times, and don't get me wrong, that the price can start off slowly and then pick up pace afterwards, but still, I'm not convinced by it. Especially looking at other pairs in correlation, stuff like ADUSD, we've already had H4 body closes beneath here. USD CAD has closed cleanly above the previous monthly high, also not just the weekly high, but also its monthly high with the dollar strength. So I expect that to also go long. USD CHF, kind of similar story here as well. Even though I believe USD CHF is supposed to give us a pullback down here, but even then, where it is right now, as of this week, you can see the range is becoming tighter, and means that the price may actually break out above and at least take this high. Even if it did want to sell off, I don't think it would sell off until it gets to some area of supply. And the next one is not until here, which is a few pips above this high right here. So either way you put it, there should be some sort of short move that will happen before long, at least if they're going to go for that last swing low. So that's kind of my view on it, guys, which is why I'm not trading. So finishing this off, because this is going to be a short one, since there's not much going on, is just to look at gold really quickly. Now, gold has been a fantastic pair. And this is another demonstration of what I mean about the bearishness that's coming in on ex-USD pairs, or in other words, US dollar strength. If we take a look here, the candle before the one that's forming now took the low of the previous week, or previous day, excuse me, but there was literally no stopping it from pushing short. And you can see that gold is still pushing pretty strongly short right now. To me, on the daily time frame, this is the threshold of when I know that if price closes beneath here with a body close, like I was saying last month, then we should be filling this gap and actually going down to some pretty sharp lows that the price has to go to. At the moment, though, with gold, I still wanted the price to fulfill this last inefficiency, which is this supply order block here. And if the price so chooses not to, that's fine as well, because again, it was based on this play here that the price did this movement that I was looking at, and instead has decided to continue with the short, which is fine. Now, these equal highs here will never fool me. I know one day the price is going to come back up here, including these ones that are at the beginning of the next week too. So it's only a matter of time until gold gives us a long, but it's just, of course, a matter of time. It's all about the time, right? Now, there's a few things. I mean, on the weekly time frame, gold is actually in the lowest down weekly zone that there is, this smaller order block here. So this tiny weekly body here, this is a demand zone here. This is the last area that the price could really launch off from. Now I'm using blue, should be using red, but if we were to map it out just to see the range of what I'm talking about, this small little range here, if the price closes beneath here by Friday, then we probably are going to be continuing going short. But, at the moment, gold hasn't done anything of anything at all that's convincing enough to go for a long, even though I believe there should be one. I mean, even when the week started, all right, I was expecting gold to at least take this high, but it didn't. It just keeps leaving equal highs and going further down. So whenever gold kind of sets it, it's kind of like the story of the children with the gingerbread snacks. When they were in the forest, they kept leaving little pieces of the gingerbread to get them back home as a trail so that they don't get lost. So in that same regard, I think that gold is doing the same thing before we have an extremely strong long as the last kind of move before the dollar gains strength. So this is why I'm personally just waiting on the sidelines and not really trading much. I mean, when I look at commodities and etc., also, it's pretty clear that the price is wanting to move further, like we said yesterday, of US oil and US CAD, and UK oil. So at the moment, it wouldn't be a good idea to trade. Let's just wait for the CPI news to come out, and we can come back with some better resolution.